gentlemen, we are live. It is that time. I'm checking my voice. Oh, you don't want that microphone plugged in. Let's unplug that one. You want this microphone? There we go. I can hear myself much better now. Let me check I am not coming. Yeah, I'm not coming through my speakers. Hello, everybody. I hope you are well. My name is Levi Clay, Shock Horror. That is the name of the YouTube channel. And I am here transcribing some Greg Howe today. I have a couple of hours to spare before going out and visiting friends. I came out, did some practice, warmed up my picking hand, did my usual, a little bit of work on some Paganini, just Sunday things, metronome use, practicing with a looper, to keep myself nice and sharp. And then I decided, a little bit of time, why don't we do a little bit of transcribing? So as usual, I am going to check links and make sure we are in fact live, working as we should. Oh yeah, I'm definitely live. Awesome. So if there's anyone out there, say hello. I want it to pop up in the chat. I want to make sure the chat is actually working. My OBS doesn't really seem to be updating. But I would like to know that the chat is working. So how can I do that? I guess if I go over to the chat and out there. Oh, that's me. Yeah, if I go over to the chat and I post this, that's the wrong thing. Let's not post that. Let's post this. Let me see if this updates. You would think, as often as I do this, yeah, that came up. You would think as often as I do this sort of thing that I would have it down to a fine art by this point, but apparently not. Chat is working. Plectrum, Spectrum, TM, guitar pick displays. That sounds like a business. Very to the point with your naming convention. Thank you for tuning in. Oh, that's a shame. Whenever I click away from OBS, the chat window disappears. I wonder if I can drag this into OBS. If we go there, is that a thing? Does that work? Let's find out. It's a live chat. Oh, it works. Yo, 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 Steelers Real and Caleb Smith. Howdy. It is indeed a business. You would hope so, wouldn't you? Plectrum Spectrum. I feel like I'm doing a business show. I should be taking sponsorships for this. I hope you will. Thanks for tuning in. Today we are going to be looking at some Greg Howe. I've always looking for cool and interesting things to transcribe, things that I think you guys will get some benefit out of. And Greg's a obviously fantastic player, very influential fusion guy, I would say. Rightfully so. Wonderful phrasing, like really, really great phrasing. Big fan of his phrasing. I've always been a fan of Greg's bending and sliding, phrasey type stuff. His kind of vocal expression on the guitar, much more so than his fast playing. Though, of course, his fast playing. Nope, let's try that again. Though, of course, his fast playing isn't bad. I think there's something really cool about the way he slippy, slidey phrases. So we're going to look at some Greg Howe today. Hello, Guntis62. Hope you're well. Right, so without further ado, let's jump into it. Actually, I do have ad stuff to talk about. I've put a QR code in the top right of the screen if you want to scan that. And there's a link in the comments, link in the description as well. guidedpracticeroutines.com is live. We still have a sale on. It ends in 3.5 hours. So check out the link and you can get 20% off on guidedpracticeroutines.com. The best place to practice guitar. Practice together, progress faster. And of course, I put all of my transcriptions up there and everything. You'll have a good time if you check it out. Let me know. Any questions? Let me know. Hello, Luke Lewis. And here for the transcriptions rather than the promotional stuff. Right, so we have Tempest Pulse. This was posted by Greg on his YouTube channel. Tempest Pulse, I believe, what's the name of that album? Is it Wheelhouse? I'm sure it's Wheelhouse. Let me double check that. Greg Howe, Wheelhouse. Yeah, Tempest Pulse is from the Wheelhouse album, which came out in 2017. I like all these paid shills in the comments. It will change your playing for the better, but not because other people say. Actually, because other people say. other people is very much a better advert than me saying things. So yeah, scan the link, check out guidedpracticeroutines.com and join us. All of these skills that I'm doing here, I wasn't born with any of these. These are all learnable skills. You can learn to do all of these things. And of course, I'm here to help you learn to do those things. So let me check. One thing I haven't checked is my audio. Yeah, that comes through there. Fine. Not doubling up with a Mac screen capture. Cool. So same process as always. Guitar Pro over here on the right. We have Transcribe up in the top left. We have Greg Howe's video in the bottom left. You do pay me. I guess that is true. We have Greg Howe in the bottom left. This video and the Transcribe file in the top right are the same program. So when I press play in Transcribe, it's going to play. Just checking my levels. My voice feels quiet compared to that. Am I able to change that at all in loopback? Why can I never see loopback? There it is. Transcribe is actually low. And that's maxed out. Cool. So if I bring Transcribe down to about there. Probably. Don't you just love? That looks a little bit better. Yeah, we're similar levels now. Or at least I think we are. Let's maybe come down a bit more. Hello, hello. Should be able to hear me talk. Not that I'm going to talk over it, but, you know, let's try and get things done as best as we can. Anyway, so here's the music. So what I'm looking for when I listen to this is I'm trying to locate where beat 1 is. I say this all the time, you know, when you're transcribing, you have to remember that you are writing down the notes in relation to the pulse, the Tempest pulse, if you like. And therefore, where 1 is really important. When we know where 1 is, we can work out, well, time signature. We can work out where beats in the bar are. We can hear things in relation to that. So because this clip sort of fades in, I can hear 1, 2. So now I'm going to continue listening to it. Now I've caught my bearings, and I'm just listening along. I'm pressing the M key on my keyboard to put markers in Transcribe to tell me where the beats are. So a lot of notes. Probably not going to get it all done in this one stream. What I can then do is I can sort of work back from here. If I highlight, well, actually what I'll do is I'll go to beat 1. I will right click it, edit this marker, subdivide by 4 because it's 4 beats in a bar. For some reason it didn't do it. Must miss the click. Now I've got 4 beats in the bar now. Double check I got the 1. It's actually there. This hit is on the 2nd, 16th note. Now, because I've got that, I can show you if I dragged this, that's the length of a bar. If I try and drag this back, it doesn't actually go back far enough because this starts after beat 1. So another thing I could do is I could click beat 2 through 4, drag that back. That's going to tell me that there that there. This is our this is beat 2. So now 2. 2. Goofed that up, didn't I? There is a smarter way of doing this. He's playing starts a little bit like rhythmically out here. Yeah, that just helps me see where or process where the beat starts. Steel is pale. So I'm hearing this as yeah, I'll hear that as on the beat here. Ba. And this is actually a little bit. Anyway, the details of where they fall aren't hugely important. We just want to get the phrase correct. I'm going to treat that as beat 2. And I'm hearing this phrase as ba, bu, da, wa. So we go 1, ba, bu, da, wa. Or is that 2? Ba, yeah. So this is, I'm playing this on beat 2. Now we've processed it. So let's see what he's actually doing. We're at, we'll actually be there. So, ba, bo, ba, bo, does he actually slide to 13 there? I think he actually does. That bar. Now I'm doing my silly singing thing. Da ba. Now one thing that Greg does a lot, phrasing wise, I'll put this here. Anytime I use this vibrato symbol, I'm using that to represent slide vibrato. That's just how I prefer to notate Greg stuff because he does that a lot. But yeah, something that you often see Greg do is he plays in like D shape and G shape, and this would very much be that D shape. Whoops, that's ba-da. Yeah, the vibrato stops there. Ba-do. Whoops. Ba-do. Whoops. Oh, hello. What have I missed there? Oh, he doesn't play. It's just... It's actually a hammer. Now it's... this note here, this what we got here, C, I don't really think this is thought. I think he's playing ba do da do ba do da do, and in going for this F, he's lifting his third finger up, and you were sort of hearing the C that's underneath. I will put it in there, but I really don't think it's thought. When I'm hearing this, what I'm hearing is pentatonic phrasing, like C minor pentatonic. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that's very Greg. Key signature it. Very Greg. This note-wise, I would play, if I was just looking at notation, I would play this line, but the way Greg fingers that, where he does this major third stretch on the D string, I would be more inclined to play this like that. That's what I would do. But the nature of video is that we get to really kind of see what Greg is doing, see his fingerings for these things. And the thing I'll always say about Greg, I'll bring myself up for this. The thing I'll always say about Greg is like, well, I was going to say the reason I can't. There are many reasons why I can't play like Greg Howe. But Greg is very unique in his fingerings. When you look at a lot of 80s shredders, even though, you know, Paul Gilbert and Vinnie Moore didn't study with each other, but they have all pretty... Vinnie's got a few things that are definitely idiosyncrasies to his playing, but they have a lot more in common than they have different. Greg has a lot of idiosyncrasies in his fingering that he uses that are very much Gregisms. Things that evidently come quite naturally to him, or he's developed to the point that they feel very natural to him. And because they don't operate within the bounds of kind of how I traditionally finger things, I can actually find transcribing Greg stuff very tricky. I've just finished transcribing a book actually for Greg, and yeah, without being able to see what he's playing, it can often be very tricky because it's unintuitive to me the way Greg would finger things. Now, of course, if you've spent your life only playing Greg Howe stuff, it's going to make a lot of sense the way he does these things. Now, same slide vibrato on here. Whoops. That's very cool. Very cool line. So you could put analysis into this. You could say, oh, it's interesting. You've got like a G major 7 triad arpeggio, and then he hammers that on to a D minor, or you could say D minor 7 triad arpeggio. And we're just playing these over that C minor or C Dorian vamp. And he connects up, bends up B flat up to C, the root note. That's a little bit sloppy. Kind of like that. Don't like the way the notation looks, but... and then we're going to shift our tonality here. Very Greg. So, like I say, tonality shifting. So, ba da do da 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 do, ba da do da 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 do. So, whoops. So now again, idiosyncrasy of Greg. The way I've notated this under my face, the way I've notated this here would very much be how my brain would finger that. But Greg doesn't mind 4-note per string patterns, so he's playing ba ya da 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 on the top E string. So we'll make this a 7. Ba ya. And then you're up to your ba da, like that. Yeah, and see, he makes this transition here, and it's like it doesn't make sense that you would be able to, but he does it, and because he's playing at such speed that it just happens. It just fluently works. But when you slow it down like that, you're like, this doesn't compute. This shouldn't. You've made an impossible jump there. Something tells me that this isn't the way Andy Elder or Wolf Marshall transcribed all those Git fiddle tunes. Yeah, I think that's probably true. And I'm sure they would have if they had access to the tools. We have tools now. You know, I think it's easy to look back at those old tab books and you give them a hard time for not being very accurate, but then you remember the tools that they were working with. Not that that makes it acceptable, of course. If people are paying for a product, it should be good. But the business model was the Wild West back then, and I think people purchased books like that assuming, oh, the band will have had input into this, but really the band didn't care. So I take more issue with poor guys like Wolf Marshall actually having to do that stuff and getting no support. Anyway, let's really see if there's something else happening here. Oh, is he ready to? No, he's not. Ba da 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 da. That's the melody, right? Ba da 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 da. Yeah, he's making that transition, but I don't think he's going to this B flat at all. Let's have a look. He is. He's doing it there though. And it's definitely kind of muffled. Ba-da. Yeah, so... Oh, no. Hang on, we'll do more. No, we won't. We'll... Wider context. Of course, another nature of Greg's playing is rhythmically, when you listen to the rhythmic stylings of Greg, be it in his solo stuff like this, or when I'm a big fan of the Marigold album actually, very, very into the syncopated rhythms. So if our pulse is here, Greg's not going to play bum, 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 bum. Greg's going to do things like ba, 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 da, do, da, da. Those very syncopated off 16th note things. So you end up hearing things in relation to when you slow things down, you hear things in relation to a chord that isn't necessarily a beat, if that makes sense. there is an A flat in there. And then that's it. Ba da 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 da. Yeah. Ba da 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 da. And you notice the skill there, rhythmic stuff aside, is that when I listen to a thing like that, ba da 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 do, ba da 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 do do. Khalil Habib, thank you for this. More Howe, please. Yeah, I'm kind of toying with the idea of doing some more Greg Howe stuff on YouTube because I kind of mentioned it. I just did a Greg Howe job for a book that's going to be coming out in the next. I'm not actually not sure on the release date. I'm not privy to that information. And I hate not having knowledge, you know. And some of Greg's stuff, when I'm transcribing it, I'm just like, I'm not entirely sure where you've played that. I can hear the notes, you know, I can hear the thing and sing what you played. And I've transcribed actually a lot of Greg Howe over the years, but there's always this kind of second guessing the way he fingers things. So I am really interested in transcribing a bunch with video, of course, because then that allows me to really solve that problem. And of course, what you find is over time, you don't need the video because you hear somebody do a thing and you go, oh, I know how they do that. I've heard them do that so many times before. So, yes. Ethan King says, how would you practice transcribing the correct groupings for the notation? I find that I can figure this stuff out by ear, but notating it correctly becomes difficult. Hey, Ethan, thank you for the question. Very simple answer. Can you read? I've said it so many times before, and I'm going to have to keep repeating it over the years, I know. But transcribing is writing out the thing that you hear. So hearing a thing and knowing what it looks like. If you can't see a thing and know what it would sound like, you're never going to hear a thing and know what it would look like. So if you improve your reading, your comprehension skills, and let me be clear, I'm talking about reading skills, not sight reading. So you don't have to be able to put music in front of you and sight read it, but if you can sit down and look at a transcription and piece together what that thing is going to sound like without having to listen to it, you have a good comprehension of the rhythms. That's a much easier skill to work on than it is to learn to transcribe by trial and error. So that's what I would encourage there, Ethan. I will say this, Khalil Habib, thank you for your $10, but you know, you could have just scanned that QR code and you could have gone to guidedpracticeroutines.com and you could have just become a member over there and, you know, done my guided practice routines with me. Because we currently have 20% off for our launch, and that sale is still active for 3 more hours. We had a week-long sale for the launch, still active for 3 hours, so you can lock in 20% off for life. So if you want to support the channel, but also get more than you can possibly imagine in return, over 100 hours of educational material, download all of my transcriptions, etc., that is the place to do it. The book, though, is with fundamental changes, so check out fundamental changes. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for the support. I genuinely really appreciate it. Slide vibrato on that. And just little phrases like this. Further to Ethan's point, like I understand rhythmically this isn't complicated. I think if you can develop the skill where you can do this, like I've really got the pitches that he played there. That it's really ingrained in my mind. So I actually don't have to worry about the pitches, which allows me to put more of my mental attention into how is this thing subdivided. Now, of course, in this particular instance, it's very to the point, very in time. It's very 16th note. But when things are rhythmically more complex than that, having the pitches really rock solid in your mind and being able to click your finger and slow the thing down in vocally, not using the piece, but vocally. What is the rhythm here? Can I slow my tempo down with my finger and sing the phrase along to that? Because that might help me conceptualize that rhythm easier. That makes sense. Kareem says there's a lot of trial and error. He says that, but, you know, do you see a lot of trial and error when I'm transcribing? Great ears, mate. Always been a Howe fan. That Uncertain Terms album has some crazy fast lines in there for everything Greg's ever done. Has got some. There's always a part in there where you're like, "Whoa, what was that?" Would he do that there? Yeah. Oh, surely not a string skip. It's a bar. Yeah, he does a bar there. Yeah. Oh, does he do it on the high string? Yeah, that's cool. So rather than ba do da da and repeating that note on the G string, he plays ba do da da, but he plays that what have we got there? A D. Plays that D on the B string, so he can then slide up. Wild. It's just like that. It's just an unorthodox phrase. What have we got here? I read sheet well. Okay, so this is a good start, but when I'm learning a Zappa part by ear or something, I find those guys, like they're more interested in rhythms, can get the better of me. Yeah, so you've probably picked some of the harder stuff. What Greg is doing here, where we have groups of 7, obviously they're not counted. That's just him cramming notes. Whereas we know that with something like the famous thing with Zappa, of course, would be the Black Page, right? We know that conceptually that is something that is done very deliberately. Reading it, I think what you're having to really get down into is the intention of the person performing. So we know, to stay on the Zappa thing, we know that like Steve Vai cut his teeth transcribing Zappa, and he would do things like transcribing Zappa's speech, which is an incredible transcribing feat. But when Zappa was speaking, he wasn't speaking with the mindset of that notation. He wasn't speaking in time. He was just speaking, and then Steve has conceptualized where a pulse is after the fact and then notated it. That's not the same as somebody who plays something where the intention is the rhythmic device. So this is, like I say, what I would call cramming, where he's just cramming the notes in there as fast as he possibly can. And when the intention is cramming, I don't feel so bad about the quantization of the idea, because you could look at this, right? If I zoom right in on this, you could look at this. You could study this, slow it down to a silly degree, to the point that you can't even really hear what the notes are anymore. And you could say, but these notes don't actually sound evenly spaced to me. It sounds like this note is a fraction longer than all of the other notes, but not to the point that this would be, I guess, you do it with, He would do 16th notes and 32nd notes. Not like that. His fingers just lingered on this one a little bit longer. So really, we'd have like a group of 11 where all of the notes are dotted, apart from this one that isn't dotted. Conceptually, that would be wrong, and it would also really mess with the end product. And I'm a lover of sheet music. I like my sheet music to look tidy and to convey intention. So yeah, when transcribing something like this, I wouldn't worry so much about it. It's obviously a lot harder when you get into transcribing Zappa parts, where a lot of the intention is for the rhythmic device to be what it is. Can you tell us how you develop the ability to sing those lines so correct? What is your advice on how to practice it? That's a fucking excellent question, Alexa. Really, really great question. And the answer to that is also, unfortunately, much like anything with the guitar, it's just practice, isn't it? So when I don't know, learned Metallica's Master of Puppets, boo ba bo boo ba bo bo do 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 da do do da do 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 da do do da 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 do da do da 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 do da do do da do do. I'm singing in the wrong key there, but yeah, I as part of learning that, I was learning what it sounded like. So then when I played it on my guitar, it's like I was singing it internally whilst I was playing it. So that's probably not the best example because it's still not the easiest thing to conceptualize and sing. But if you were to take simple like nursery rhyme type things, I'm very confident that if I played, yeah, my piano is connected. If I played like, I think that like Bar Bar Black Sheep, I think that you would be able to da 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 da. And the reason that wouldn't be too much of a struggle for you was there's two reasons. One, because it's a melody that you're already relatively familiar with. We can fix that. And it works within the harmonic bounds of something that's very simple to you. It's all just major scale harmony. You can just hear that. It works within that major scale harmony, right? Or if I put actual chords under it. Working within the bounds of things that you know. Because I've spent so much time in my guitar playing life learning jazz vocabulary, learning bebop vocabulary, learning enclosures, learning bebop enclosures was a really, really important thing for me. You learn to sing those as well. So when you start having non-diatonic notes thrown at you, you don't panic so much because you hear, if I play like... like all of that stuff is ba da do da 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 do do da do ba ba da do da ba boo da boo da boo da do. So it doesn't matter what it is that you're learning. If you're learning, maybe you do Donna Lee or something like that, you should be able to sing the thing very slowly. So by working on that, you flex the muscle of hearing the thing in detail. I think one of the biggest problems that we have on guitar, and it's one of the things that I'm really seeking to try and solve in guidedpracticeroutines.com, is we are so hands first. So we're so, I just memorize where I put my fingers and then I'll place my finger down, I'll pick the string or do whatever it is that I have to do, and then I'll just hear the thing because I've played it, so I get to hear it. And I operate from an ears first approach. We have to hear the thing before we play it, so we should never press our finger down on the guitar, play a note, and learn what it sounds like by doing that. So yeah, conceptually I want all of my students to hear the things before they're playing them. So, and actually that's what makes it so easy to transcribe this stuff, is because when I hear a phrase, I can conceptually, like after I got when I know where the first note is? Well, of course I know where to write the second note because I can sing the phrase. I know where the first note is, and I know where that note is in relation to what it is that I just played. And I'll be really clear here, not from an academic perspective. So it's not like I hear this and I go, oh, it went up a minor third, then down a minor second, then we jumped up a fifth. I'm not thinking like that. I'm literally thinking the deep connection that I have between sound and how you make those sounds with your fingers. Woo! So, great question. Thank you, Kareem. How is learning the piano going, by the way? Do you have a dream piece? Do I have a dream piece? That's a great question. So piano playing is going great. I am currently going through a mentorship with the YouTuber Noah Kelman. Great pianist to check out. He's a very modern jazz, neo-soul type thing. My piano playing isn't the focus of my lessons. That's a weird thing to say. Let me rephrase that. The things that I play on piano are not the focus of what I play. The reason I'm learning to play piano is so I can more effectively understand harmony, so I can hear harmony better, so I can transcribe harmony better, but also so I can function as a support musician for my partner, Melissa. She's a singer, and she, goes out and gigs. She gigs a lot, and she will just play guitar for herself or whatever. She does a little bit of piano, but I just wanted to add something to that. So rather than me playing guitar and her playing guitar, I thought, well, I'll just play piano because I like the kind of cabaret type sound for that. So yeah, my piano dreams aren't really challenging ones. They're not like showpiecey things. Though saying that, she likes to do a lot of musical theatre type things. And so there's a lot of musical theatre things that I would love to just sort of be able to quite intuitively do. I was working on the song "No Good Deed" from Wicked. Let me pull that away. Don't want to look at all my YouTube comments. Which is this. And I do that not for the showiness of the piano in that particular rendition or that particular accompaniment piece, but I do it because it's an accompaniment thing. Like, I love musical theatre. I'm a really, really big musical theatre fan. Really big musical theatre fan. People don't believe me when I say this, right? But every year I go to see more theatre shows than I do gigs. And I've always, like, I can look in my diary for the next year and see all of the tickets that I have for events, and most of them are musical theatre things. So I really, really do love musical theatre. For everything from, a big fan of, I'm so happy that the Wicked film was made and that it's doing so well, because when I used to live in London, I used to go and see Wicked maybe once every 3 months because it was relatively cheap. You could get cheap seats for that, and I would just go and enjoy that. I really enjoy the music in that. But we go see fringe things like I've been to see Heathers the musical a couple of times, there's some great songs in Heathers the musical, and I have sheet music books for all of these things. I love studying getting my head around the harmony in these musicals, because I think the approach to music in these things is compositionally, it's really right up my street. Because of course I'm 36, so that means I grew up on like Alan Menken era Disney music, so I'm used to hearing, though that's like the soundtrack to my youth. Before I was into music, Alan Menken was programming music into me via, The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin. So yeah, the musical theatre thing is just like a natural extension of that. And I was in New York. I think it was 2 years ago now, and I went to see Hadestown, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And as I was walking down Broadway, I saw an advert for Gutenberg, the musical, which was starring Josh Gad and Andrew Rannells. And I was like, holy shit, Josh Gad and Andrew Rannells together on stage again. I'm a musical theatre nerd enough that was a reason for me to immediately buy tickets for it. I didn't even know what the show was about, but it's like, I want to see those guys. So I'm really, really into musical theatre type things. So I would like to be able to play stuff like that. When you sit and you listen to, like, Stephen Schwartz sat at the piano talking about his compositions, talking about his musical theatre things, and playing things and singing things, like treating the piano like an orchestra, like a compositional tool. That's what kind of excites me in my playing. Having said that, there's countless. We could put on like Red Garland music or Bud Powell music, and there's loads of the Art Tatum stuff that I'd love to be able to play. I sit and listen to like Oscar Peterson's Blue Train record, and I would just love to be able to play it all. So it never ends. I'm just constantly wanting to learn things. That was a fun detour. Thank you for that. Oh, I just saw Randy Newman pop up. Yeah, absolutely, Randy Newman. How do you find making chord arrangements for a singer? I've been figuring out piano too. I love tunes like "Have You Met Miss Jones?" Yeah, it's a great example. I'd love to make some basic arrangements to accompany. Any tips? Honestly, I'm not qualified to give you tips in that respect, because I am not a pianist of any renown or respect. And I hate to speak from a place of authority where I don't feel that I have any, if that makes sense. The reason I'm studying with piano players is because those are the questions that I'm asking them, getting their approach on things, because my approach to accompanying a singer currently is very ham-fisted. It's very, like, I'm just doing the obvious things, which is not the same as what a pianist would do. Like, of all of the pianists that I've studied with, that's the question that I'm often asking. I'm asking them, but what would a pianist do here? And they always say, but you're a pianist. I'm like, well, I've played the piano for 5 years, but I'm not a pianist yet. I'm still a guitar player. I'm a musician, but you're a pianist. You've got, 25 years of piano playing experience. So if I reach over here, I have a little book, and in here I just chart out songs. I just write chord charts for things. And I've got things like Nothing from Nothing, Billy Preston. Oh, this is Hello. This is Adam Neely's arrangement of Hello. There's some wild chords in that. Made Up Mind, which is Brothers Landreth. I Never is one of Mel's songs. Beautiful. Christina Aguilera, why not? Life, Desiree. High, Lighthouse Family. Anymore, Lake Street Dive. Nobody's stopping you now, Lake Street Dive. I'm Still Standing, Elton John. Not even sure what that is. How Long... What even is that? You and I, Stevie Wonder. And when I look at these, they are just chord symbols for myself. So my approach to playing something like that is going to be really, when I'm gigging things like that, I know my chords well enough when I'm looking at a chord chart. Where's my pedal? Is there somewhere? When I'm looking at a chord chart, I can see F sharp. As the chords move through. fun one where I really want like yeah, so like when I'm, and that's just from a chord chart, like it's not something that I actually gig. I spend the time on something like that to learn and understand what the harmony is, to study it, more so than to play it. Like when I'm looking at that now, really what I'm thinking is, oh, isn't that an interesting chord progression? It's the 1 chord, 4 chord with the 1 in the bass, 4 chord minor, still with the 1 in the bass pedaling. But I can't play part of this world. It's like... Look at this stuff, isn't it neat? When you think my collection's complete. What are the chances of the one thing that you said? What a thoughtful and honest response. Love this. Takes loads of self-awareness to give this reply. How long, I don't think, is the Ariel Posen tune. Because I don't know why I would have written a chord chart for that, you know. I'm not sure what it is. If I look at it, let me see. I think I might know what it is. I can't go further than that. I don't know what the chords are. What have we got here? I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure I know what this is. No, we're going... Yeah, it's let's play... No. How long has this been going on? I said how long? No, let's play... Can't for the life of me think who that's by, but you get the idea. Anyway, distracting myself from the transcription. So yeah, I'm not an authority when it comes to playing like a pianist. No. I'm not really singing it. I'm not really. I've got too much damage in my voice. I've damaged my voice from years and years and years of singing like really high, loud, like head voice falsetto-y in ranges I shouldn't be doing without fully supporting myself, so putting too much strain on my throat. So I don't sing now. Oh, why is he doing that? That's a weird one. He does a string skip, which is so strange to me. Does he play on the B there? I don't know that I'd say that was some piano stuff. One of our favourites to do is like I like doing. That's Wolfpack. Wait for the moment. One that I get to play a bad solo on. I'm just distracting myself. Where are we? Does he do that? Yeah, I do this as a 7. When you transcribe Greg, how do you notate the hammer from nowhere stuff? G2 uses a tapping notation that I find confusing to read. Yeah, that's a really, really great question, actually. So, oh, did my ears go? Yeah. I unplugged my ears. Hang on. Plug my ears in. I want to be able to hear. There we go. I don't. You can do it, obviously, with stuff like, where is it? Guitar Pro. It's like this. So that's the notation that you use for a hammer on from nowhere. I don't do it, and the reason I don't do it is twofold. One, the main one, it looks messy in the transcription. I hate the way it looks. It feels wrong to say that it doesn't matter, because it matters. But so do pick strokes, and I don't put pick strokes in my transcriptions. So. So Baba Yada. So notes here we have Bada. But yeah, he does go down to. See, this is an example of why I don't like to think too much about rhythm, because I talked about this on my last stream. This is what I would call gear changing. If I play it with, nope, like that. Which I don't think if we hear him at speed, he doesn't change speeds there. He doesn't. This note here is double the length of this note here. But that's not what he's doing there. I think it's more like there's a hesitation between playing this note and then deciding to go to this note. He then slides down, he lands on this note, and there's a slight hesitation before he decides to continue the line like that. So I would prefer to write this like this, which isn't as accurate, but if I put, not the 40% on, if I put, that's more in line with what Greg's thinking. So you have to always balance that line of like how to best achieve what it is that's being gone for, rather than what happened, if that makes sense. Or at least that's my approach to it. That's a bit trickier. I will treat that as a 6, even though this. Do we want to think D flat? I'm really thinking C sharp here, because it's like B minor. Not that I'm going to go in and change all those accidentals right now, but this is really on the beat. But then you'd have to sort of go like. And again, I don't like the way this ends up looking. And that's interesting. Yeah. Does that. So you end up, if you look at all this phrasing, what's happened here, it's all behind my head, isn't it? What's ended up happening here is, because this slide was a little bit long, and this note is now on the beat, and it very much is on the beat, then we end up in this weird place where this is right, but then this, you either have to do this as a 7 or you do the whole lot as an 11, and we can solve all of that by doing this. Because I think conceptually, this is, if you were to ask Greg, can you slow this line down? Can you teach me this line? What is it that you're thinking? I think, let me turn off the speed train out. That's fine. No, it's not. I think Greg's thinking this. That's, I think, how he would show it to you. And then, of course, when you play it, 3, 4. Let me just put a tempo marker in. About 115. Yeah, so I think then in playing it becomes this. I think that's the idea. Question you probably answered already. What's the hardest, most challenging thing you've transcribed for guitar? What did you learn from it? I guess probably Holdsworth, but thought I'd ask. It's actually not Holdsworth stuff, and it's not actually even Sean Lane stuff, though those are things that I don't particularly enjoy having done. It's George Benson stuff I find to be some of the hardest. I've had some like free jazzy type stuff. The stuff that I find to be the hardest is the stuff that I feel that I have the most to learn from and is hard, right? So I don't have a lot to learn from Alan Holdsworth's music. I should be really clear, not because I understand and have Alan's music mastered, but because the interest level for me to be able to understand and play Holdsworth stuff is minimal. There's essentially none there. Whereas, and the same with Sean Lane, there's just no interest for me to do anything that Sean does. But I'm very interested in what George Benson does and the way he plays, and I wish I could play more like Benson does. So transcribing his stuff is harder for me because I'm truly trying to understand it as well. Does care come into it? Yeah, so Holdsworth has a lot of... he's like Greg in the sense that he has some very unorthodox fingerings that he does that don't come very naturally to me, but I don't worry about it. Same with Holdsworth. His approach is so the opposite of how I think that I don't worry so much about it, because it's like, I'm never going to get this perfect, but it doesn't matter that I don't get this perfect because this isn't what I do. Whereas with the Benson stuff, it feels like it's within the realm of doable. So yeah, I titled the transcription the George Benson. This is the hardest thing I've transcribed for a long time, and it really was. I'm sure if push comes to shove, I can really think about that. There might be some stuff that I've struggled with more than that, but yeah, I find Benson's playing to be particularly tricky. Yeah, so let's go with George Benson. Hey Brett, how's it going? Where are we? Yeah. No? You're welcome, Nathan. Thank you for the questions. It is a good question. To be clear, if I had to, in my mind, categorize guys that are some of the ones that I find very hard to transcribe, Alan Holdsworth and Sean Lane are right up there. Those are both guys who I've said I won't transcribe anymore. And the reason for that is, one, that it's hard, and two, that I'm not interested in it. So it's not a style of music that I want to be better at playing. And of course, when I do things like this, I am learning from it. I'm getting better, and it influences my lines and the way I play, the way I improvise, so that I get more value out of this. I get more value out of transcribing Pat Martino than I do Sean Lane, you know. So phrase that you played earlier. He's ascending fifths. Buddha. Cool, pentatonic. That's very Greg. That's like not the way I would finger a thing like that, but he's good at that. Now I'm going to lie here because he misses that sweep. If you wanted to be really accurate, it's this. and I don't mind it. It's that. So I thought maybe I'll leave it that way, but conceptually that's not what he's going for. I think conceptually it's ba do do da do do da dum ba do do da do 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 do. Watching Greg play, to me, there seems a disconnect to listening. For some reason, perhaps his hand positions, it always seems he's going to struggle to play his own music, but nails it, confused. You know what, Nathan? I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. When I was younger, I'm still into him, but when I was younger, one of my biggest influences was Mike Stern. I went to see Mike Stern play so many times, and I was lucky enough to get to hang out with Mike a few times, and, you know, that was like super fandom moments for me, getting to hang out with Mike and talk to him about music and just, you know, great guy. Love his music, love his personality, lovely human. And the thing I really loved about his playing is that when I listened to him, he always sounded like he was right on the edge of fucking up. But he never did. And I loved that. There was something raw about that. And my favourite guitarist is Danny Gatton. And Danny sounded like that all the time, like right on the edge of fucking his own stuff up. And I think what that is it's like you're listening and you're hearing the sound of somebody who's giving you everything. Then it's not safe. Nothing they're doing is safe, even though I guess it is because they don't fuck it up. So you hear it and it's like, oh, they're pushing themselves. This is a real moment. This feels on the edge. And that's a very different feeling to listening to someone who is, you know, you listen to someone like Andy James. Andy never sounds like he's about to mess up. It's a different feeling that you're being given. Andy is very super precise, and that gives you a sense of comfort, I guess. There's nothing uneasy about the music. But when I listen to Greg, with this line here, literally this line here in this bar, rhythmically, ba-da-da-da, like it's swinging but not swinging. It shouldn't be swinging because the music doesn't dictate swinging. To me, it's the sound of somebody that's deciding what to do in the moment. And sometimes that makes things a little bit janky. Same with here. This transition here, you know, we said that this note is a little bit longer. When he comes down to, was that? Yeah, it was that part there. Yeah, I'm sure it was that part there. When he slides down to this note is a little bit longer as well. And that just sounds like a deciding thing. And that's the fascinating thing about me. Greg's playing is so unorthodox, so strange in the way that he fingers things, that my only rationale for it is, oh, so he must compose all of these things and then mime to pre-recorded audio, because that's what modern guitar players do. But Greg isn't a modern guitar player. Greg is a legacy shredder. He's been playing like this his entire life. None of this is faked. This is just the way he sounds. And if you were to fake it, it wouldn't sound like this. Because when guys fake this shit, everything is so brutally in time. Whereas Greg isn't. Greg, there's that uneasiness to what he's doing. So, yeah. But he always nails it. So. Does he play that there? Let's have a look. I don't know if there's delay in hearing the notes. What I will say from working on this book for Greg's approach to music feels very different to uh, a lot of the guys that are bigger influences on me. It became apparent working through his methodology that a lot of Greg's line construction, if you want to call it that, a lot of Greg's ideas come from finger patterns, that it comes from application of concepts within the systems that he has for fingering of arpeggios, fingering of scales, etc. And because of that, sometimes I think, yeah, you have these very intricate things that you do with your hands that other people wouldn't do, which isn't quite the same as having a very intricate melody that you then have to execute with the hands, if that makes sense. So Greg is still very much in that, in my mind, in that shred camp where it's an athletic thing on the guitar. Which is why I did say at the start of the stream, I like Greg's playing when he's playing the more melodic, slidey, bendy type thing. I think his solo on like Oracle on the Marigold album is like second to none. It's one of the better rock solos I can think of. Oh, he actually plays that there. But that's just my take, my perception, the way I perceive the thing. Right, I'm going to synchronize this now because I have to go out shortly. Yeah, it is. So here I think he's very much going for an A. You can even hear it. He's hitting both notes. But which one of these is the intended note? I would probably do that. I think the important thing when I'm saying this about Greg is like it's merely an observation. It's an observation and it's my perception, but none of it is said from a place of negativity, because that guitar athletic thing kind of what is that I'm trying to say here? Like the form of creation coming from a pattern based an application of concept to pattern based approach to line creation on the guitar is a huge part of, like, I don't know, like Paul Gilbert's playing or Richie Kotzon's playing or any Vinnie Moore's playing. Like lots of application of the same ideas in different fingering patterns. Greg just has more unorthodox fingering patterns, and he has interesting sequential ideas that he applies from within them that make him sound like him. But yeah, a lot of the time I feel that it's that shred mentality, it's application of idea. And there are going to be exceptions to that in his playing, where he plays very, very melodically. Yeah, yeah. Well, you're also being like, you're taking my comments in good faith. You're taking them the way that they're intended. People can, as I'm sure you know, people can be far too protective over things that they love, and assume that when somebody is talking about a thing that they're being disrespectful or they're trying to be negative about a thing. And I think the healthiest thing in life is being okay with the fact that there are people out there that don't love the things that you love, and you should be you should be able to hear criticism of a thing. When somebody explains to you why they don't like a thing, it's not on you to persuade them why they should like a thing. You're just hearing someone's perspective. You're just learning about them as a person. And some people get really, really upset. I don't like Sean Lane's playing. He's got some moments where I think things are really cool, but for the most part, I don't really like Sean Lane's playing. And that really upsets Sean Lane fans. But it should be the healthiest thing in the world to know that there are people out there that don't like the music that you like. There are lots of people that don't like Sean Lane's playing and music. How do I know this? Because Sean Lane wasn't a very popular, in the grand scheme of things, guitar player. When you compare it to someone like Paul Gilbert, vastly more popular, vastly more successful as a guitar player, because people like and relate to his music. Now, I do like Paul Gilbert's music, but then I mentioned Danny Gatton, who I said is one of my favourites, possibly my favourite guitar player. So many people hate Danny Gatton's playing. There's something about it upsets them, rubs them the wrong way. And actually, when I first started listening to Danny Gatton, or first discovered Danny, that's how I felt about it. I was like, what is this shit? But it kind of grew on me. The spirit of it grew on me. And now, I think I'm confident enough as a person in the things that I like and the things that I enjoy, that if somebody came to me and said, I don't like Danny Gatton, I think he was a really sloppy guitar player, I think he just played a lot of random shit, I'm going to say, you might be right. Yeah, I actually agree with you. I think Danny's a very sloppy player at times. You put on something like Nitpicking, like, he's super sloppy on that. That's kind of the point. Yeah, cool. Well, what do you like, man? Not like, you don't need to prove yourself to me. Like, yeah. Some people get very upset when you say negative things, well, things that they perceive as negative. This is a trickier one to notate because it's like he's rushing that time there. Yeah, I will treat it as a triplet. Right, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to sync the file so you can rate my accuracy. And I'll finish this when I get back from seeing my friends. I'll upload it to YouTube tomorrow. So we are going from... let me put a marker in here so I know where I'm up to. Save this. And to do this, what I would do is delete that. You have to work within the idiosyncrasies of Guitar Pro. Yeah, we'll do this. We can go markers, compute tempo. 113. Export sound file. Hey Brett, how's it going? Then I can come over here and import the audio. Now, okay, so the tempo's off, but we can fix that. So this takes a little bit of time, but totally doable. Let's turn the loop off, do this. Oh, I know what I've done. I haven't put the anacrusis in. That helps. There we go. I think we might be okay. Let's have a listen. Yeah, I'm okay with that. You love my Carl Minor? I've done a couple of Carl Minor videos actually, Brett. And I'll be going back to Carl at some point because, you know, he's great. So let me save this. This is going to go in my daily transcriptions folder. This is Greg, Howe, Tempest, Pulse. Let's save that there. I almost feel guilty for this, guys, but I don't, because of course I'm running a business here, and I am trying to build a better life for me and my family. So I have to promote said business. I'm just checking. You have 1 hour and 53 minutes of our sale on guided practice routines left. So if you want to check out guided practice routines, you could have scanned that QR code. There's a link in the description. I'm just going to play an ad for that, and then I will come back, answer any questions, and then I'm going to leave. So much love. Hi guys, Levi here. I just wanted to take a minute to share something really special with you. Today marks an exciting new chapter in the guided practice routines journey. For those of you that are new to the channel or only know me through my transcriptions, about 10 years ago I started a concept called guided practice routines, or GPR, and it was really born out of wanting to create a better way of getting results for my students. It started with a pretty simple idea, to go beyond the lesson by providing actual practice routines students could follow along with. A traditional guitar lesson usually means seeing a teacher for an hour a week and they cram that hour full of information, quickly brush over some exercises, and then you're expected to remember it all and motivate yourself to actually do it. Well, the guided practice routine method is like having a teacher and a personal trainer at the same time. You learn something and then you're meticulously guided through a practice routine where we can play all of the exercises together. It's education and accountability all in one. Now over time it grew way beyond what I ever imagined. Between the books, the Patreon, and hundreds of practice routines, it's reached over 100,000 guitarists around the world, and honestly it's been one of the most rewarding things that I've ever done. But I always knew that there was a way that I could take it to another level. Something easier to use, better organised, more interactive, and just an overall richer experience for anyone who really wants to commit to getting better at the guitar. So today I'm thrilled, like genuinely so excited, to officially announce the launch of guidedpracticeroutines.com, a brand new platform dedicated to delivering the best guitar lessons imaginable through what I truly believe is the best format, the guided practice routine system. This has been a huge undertaking. It's taken years of planning, filming, writing, and organising hundreds of hours of work to make sure it's the absolute best that it can be. Inside, you'll find a full library of courses, lessons, workouts, and live streams with new content added every week. Every single thing is designed to take the guesswork out of your practice and help you make real noticeable progress that you can actually hear in your playing. All of the new courses are fully integrated with Sound Slice, so you can slow things down, loop sections, and see the notation and tab in real time. It really takes the practice experience to another level. There's also an exclusive community where we can all share progress, ask questions, and support each other. It's truly the most complete realization of the guided practice routine vision that I've been able to offer. Honestly, this feels like a brand new chapter for guided practice routines. It's something I've dreamed about for years, and I'm incredibly proud of what it's become. So if you've ever used one of my books or done a Patreon routine, or just want to take your playing more seriously, this is the next step. I'd love for you to come and check it out. There's even an exclusive launch discount just this week, so signing up now is actually cheaper than my Patreon was, and that ends at the end of the week. I'll drop the link in the description so you can see what it's all about. Thank you so much for watching, and thanks for all of the support over the years. It truly means the world to me and my family. I hope to see some of you guys inside. Any questions? Sound off below. I'm always reading and happy to get back to you. Much love. There we go. Ran the ad. Did what I had to do. I do hope you guys have enjoyed that stream. I'm going to bounce now, go see some friends for a few hours. If you have any questions and you haven't managed to get them in the live chat, then of course you can leave a comment on the video. I read all of my comments, get back to anybody who has any questions. And fingers crossed, some of you guys want to come and join us on guidedpracticeroutines.com. Join us on our Discord server, and we will continue developing you as players, helping you learn to be better listeners, better transcribers, better players, and better all-round musicians. Sunbird says, I'm working on the GPR ear training. I've neglected that and transcribing over the years. Need to make up for it. Yeah, I'm working on obviously the ear training course. I've got a bunch more videos filmed for that will be being uploaded this week. New content is coming, obviously, every week. We do fortnightly live streams on that, so we've been planning what those live streams are going to be looking like. We've got our pathways are going to be launching, hopefully, this coming week to help you navigate through all of the content on the site and give you a planned method to go through to work on the areas that I feel that you need to in the order that you should be working on them. We have some Paganini coming to the website. We have a course on 7th arpeggios ready to drop. We have a course on 7th chords, shell voicings, lots and lots of stuff in there. So check us out, guidedpracticeroutines.com, link in the description. Do more Andy Wood. He is the GOAT. Yeah, I love Andy, good friend. I was going to say it's been a while since I spoke with Andy, but I was on a phone call with him maybe 2 weeks ago. So always looking for good Andy things to do. Anyway, much love. I've been Levi Clay. You've been awesome, and I will